Hey everyone, this is Raven. Welcome to my YouTube channel. This is my very first cast of Wargame Red Dragon, and you'll have to forgive any problems with quality or overall tone and style. I've never really done anything like this before, and I'd really love some feedback, so if you want to leave a comment on my YouTube page or even contact me on the forums, I would really appreciate that. This is a game I played a couple days ago, back before the ATGM bug was fixed, unfortunately, but it was just a really good game. I played it and I said, wow, this has to be the one I have to cast first. So without further ado, let me introduce the teams. We have on blue 4, UsableUsername, Lord Quad, Winter's Rat, and Deuce Quad, affectionately known as the Quad Squad. I play with them infrequently, but they're pretty good players and I always have good games with them, so thanks for playing, guys. On red 4 we have Futon, who's more commonly known as McMacky, Ajim, myself, and the irascible NATO Potato. So this is Bloody Ridge Conquest, and a kind of conventional strategy would be to send 2 people to the left to Echo and Hotel, 1 person up the middle, and then 1 person up the right. My team is kind of following that. On the left we have Futon and Ajim. They have between the two of them, they have a pretty good balance of infantry and tanks, AA, everything you need, and I think that's really a good move for this part of the map rather than just going all infantry into this town. Blue 4, they kind of do the opposite. See, they go all infantry. They have a bunch of LVTPs with Marines. They have some Celtics to prevent a helicopter rush. One thing that's interesting is you'll notice there's a US Marine deck player here, and there's also a Japanese player with his CV. He's going to spawn some other stuff here. So that means they send 2 people here, but actually the Japanese player is also going to Delta, where they then have 2 people go into the middle. So a French player and a second Japanese player go to the middle, and there'll be 2v1 there against NATO Potato, who has a more pretty heavy tank force. He's got 2 T-80s, 2 T-80UMs, some VDV, some Vasiliks, so he's going to be really beleaguered there. Meanwhile, I'm going more full on the right with infantry, actually a heavy tank. I have a T-90 or T-72BU with an air assault, and the reason for that is I want to push into Delta, but I also know that's not always possible, so I have the option of flanking into the middle to help my ally. And that's kind of the setup, so I'll just speed it up to where we start. So right at the beginning, Blue 4 puts out a F-15J on Cap, which is close air patrol. That's a pretty good move because you can detect early napalm like these Delphins coming in. We actually notified Ajim, oh hey, there's an F-15 coming for you, and he says, well, just wait, watch this. The F-15J goes for them. He kills 1, misses the other, but he overcommits, and these 2 planes and the AA kill it. That's a 150, 160 point plane he just lost, and in the end, we still got our napalm off. Not that it matters just too much, but it was still a good little trap. Here on the right, I have my AA Hind fighting a Celtic. It kind of fails. The Celtic damages my MI8s, kills 1. And at that point, I'm thinking, well, I just lost 150 points or so. I really don't have the strength to push into Delta like I may have wanted to, so I'm going to play more conservatively. So that was a good move by UsableUsername. He forced me defensive. Now, had I known, hindsight 2020, that these guys had so little here, I probably would have gone anyways. But that's why you watch replays. You discover little secrets you didn't know about, I guess. On the left here, you see Ajim sends mainly flamethrower infantry and grenade launcher infantry into the town, and that's okay, but it's just not. You send LVTPs at them, and their armor makes it so they can't be killed very quickly. You really need line infantry to help contest your city. You can't just send the dedicated infantry killers. Meanwhile, I'll also notice here's the Japanese player I was talking about, Winter's Rat. He's here, and he's also on the far right. They don't have many tanks, which is kind of conventional, but then Futon here has 4 tanks, and they just can't contest him. They can't hurt him. I think that's important because now he's flanking around the town, and sure, Blue 4 might win the town, but Futon will control the hinterland, and I think in the end that pays off. In the middle, Potato advances, but his T8 takes a firing computer reset. His other one's damaged. He realizes that, I think what he did was he saw he had two players. He had Kiyomaru's from Deuce Quad, he had MX30s from UsableUsername, so he very wisely retreats. He does advance into the forest. His VDV are there for better or for worse. At this point, on the right, I'm still kind of feeling things out, but pretty soon I'll realize Potato's in trouble and I'll send my tanks over there to assist him. Here comes a Super Etendard to get a T80, but I think they get... Oh, no, he whiffs on a Skreget. There's smoke to cover the retreat. I think Deuce Quad makes a little bit of an error here in advancing his Kiyomaru's first. See, a Suicide Su-25 comes and picks off the first. Another one will be by here in a minute to get the other one. It would have been a little smarter, I think, to leave the Kiyomaru's back and advance with the cheaper tanks, and then have the Kiyomaru's with the AA behind them to do a more concentrated push. Instead, the Kiyomaru's got ahead, and he ends up losing his heavy tanks, which leads them over to a counter push that you'll see here in a minute. On the left, Futon has pretty much secured the left flank of the city. There's just nothing there to contest him. No tanks, no ATGMs, no nothing. Now, they are bringing in helicopters, but you know, Spags are so powerful, these two Strop 2s, I don't think helicopters can really turn the tide. But on the other hand, Blue 4 does have the city, so... There's my T90, flanking in. Potato's counter pushing. Really, this is why you should start with heavy tanks, really, because we have 3 heavy tanks, 2 T80 and a T72 BU, and then some more medium tanks. These Nanayon Shikis, the AMX30s, they just can't hurt them, to be honest. And they really, if I was Blue 4, I would have retreated about now. And I think Deuce Quad does pull his reinforcement Kiyomar. Yeah, there it goes. He realizes, well, I need to get this out of the line of fire because we're not doing too hot. Here come the helicopters. I don't think they can do just too much. Oh, here we go. We're pushing into the city between Echo and Hotel. This is actually a very good method of city attack. You should always send your infantry in first. Strop 2's coming up to counter helicopters, good. Send the infantry in on foot while your tanks and your IFVs sit behind and fire into the city and provide suppressing fire. I believe that's historically accurate, authentic tactics, and it works in Wargame. A lot of people, they'll just drive their IFVs right up to the city and get them all killed, but good job on the left. Just really briefly on the left, they're going to have trouble reinforcing this because they have no control outside of the city. You see Futon has a Spetsnaz VMF in there. It's just not a very good situation. Here, I think this Kiyomaru's going to die. We're pushing in with our heavy tanks. We lose one to a Hornet. Super Etendard comes in. Kind of a tenuous position because all we have is one Tunguska. I think Potato started with maybe 2, and I think they both got killed. So we're kind of in a holding pattern. We have more strength, but we can't advance comfortably. We don't have any infantry to cover our advance either. So notice I also smoked here to block those ATGMs firing from those IFVs, the Hachi Q Shikis. Pretty good assault going on here still. Zaniste, Spetsnaz, Motor Shoots, and the Marines they're just running out of steam. They can't reinforce, they can't rearm. There's just nothing coming to them, you know. More planes. Okay. Here, Deuce Quad's Kiyomaru comes out. Oh, we got that Etendar with a Tunguska. More smoke. Lord Quad's asking for help. See, the Japanese player who originally deployed about half his forces over here, I think he's kind of pieced out and gone to other places, so it's just 2v1 here. So yeah, Quad is going to have even more difficulty that way. Meanwhile, it's at least 2v2 in the middle. We got Kiyomaru's from Deuce Quad. Oh man, I have to say he's replacing those Kiyomaru's pretty quickly. We've killed 2 of them, maybe 3 of them at this point, but he's already kind of replenish his numbers, so he's focusing a lot on that. Also notice at this point we got 4 Vasiliks. We've got a lot of supply trucks coming up. That's kind of a theme I'm going to come back to. See, we're going to have a skirmish here. Our T-80UMs and our T-72BUs are going to get hurt. That one's already hurt. Yeah, here we go. The Kiyomarus are fighting us, kind of having a set piece battle. I think we kill this Kiyomaru. Just a little careless. I probably would have used a smoke or a bomber to even out that fight. But my T-80UM's hurt. Potato's T-80UM's hurt. He's about to withdraw. Just killed an AA piece. That's Potato's SU-25 does... Oh, got picked off. Yeah, so we did kill a Kiyomaru, but we have to withdraw because look at that. My T-72BU's at 1 health. Super Etendard coming. Oh, Cluster Bomber coming. Super Etendard misses. Cluster Bomber doesn't even fire. I try and smoke to cover my retreat, but it would have been too late to save me from those planes. But look at this. There's 1 T-80UM with 2 life, 1 with 3 life, a BU with 1, T-80B with 1. This is 500-600 points of tanks right there that really they could have killed, Blue Fork could have killed, and probably should have killed, but in preserving them and pulling them back, that really led to a decisive advantage, even though for the next 3 or 4 minutes, Potato and I will be spending a lot of our time reinforcing them. Just want to notice here, Winter's Rat snuck a helicopter around to try and find our CV. Probably would have been smarter to... That was kind of an opportunity because I missed covering that hole, and I think it would have been better to bring a recon or even a gunship helicopter, because now we see that and go, oh crap, and start deploying recon, AA. They're not going to be able to... not going to get a second chance to do that. So that was a little bit of a missed opportunity. On the left, we've secured the city pretty well. Ajim and Futon have pushed into this little forest at the bottom right corner of Echo. That's really the first step to taking Echo, is getting a foothold in there, because it's the only place you can really go and be reasonably well protected by a forest. Just briefly, I want to mention, coming back to the heavy tanks, Lord Quad here, he's deploying M60 AOSs, which are 40-point tanks. And for their price, I mean, they're okay. They're 9 armor, they're good for just a spammy tank, but meanwhile, Futon has a T-80UM, T-64 BVI, so there's just no power projection here. There's no way his M60s can do anything other than get picked off if there's nothing to really support them with a big, powerful gun. And really, he should have an M1A1HC, which is the heaviest tank a U.S. Marine deck can have. And I think that's... A lot of people don't use enough heavy tanks, and especially with the DLC and the patch, I think a heavy meta is coming. Here we go, Futon. His T-72 spawned at a bad place and came from a bad direction, so they're getting shot, but looks like they'll make it out. A little worse for wear. Winograd and Vinogradov. See Deuce Quad just pinged into Foxtrot. They want to attack. I think they realize that they really need to secure Foxtrot because they're having trouble at Echo. It's SU-27PU on cap. They have F-15J on cap as well. That's actually really important. A lot of players don't do that, which is have a interceptor or ASF circling behind your lines. If you have one of those, the reaction time is just so much quicker versus summoning one from out over here. And that's really the key to stopping bombers and protecting your forces during an attack, is have a plane in position rather than wait until you see a bomber to call one out. Potato has seed up, but the Blue 4 wisely have their radar AA off, it seems. I would take a little bit of issue with this infantry deployment here, actually, because again, they don't have any... They have motor shooting, I guess, but they don't really have much to kill heavy stuff if a tank or a IFV was to get close to the city. And besides that, you never want to defend at the edge of the city, because if you do, as soon as your stuff starts firing at your enemies, then all of the tanks and all the IFVs and everything they have in this whole field in front of Echo sees you and starts firing. So ATGMs at the front of the city is fine, but you want to defend more in the core of the city, make them come in and come to you, and not have that effect where you're getting shot from all sides outside of the city. Not that that ever happens in this game, I just wanted to point it out. It's kind of city defending 101 to me. Blue Force sneaking recon up. That's one thing we didn't do very well. We didn't have good recon. I don't think we even have a recon vehicle up in the middle right now. We just have my recon chopper up here. Little attempted helo assault by Winter's Rat, but like I said, they squandered their opportunity. This is what should have come 5 or 10 minutes ago, but I had Skrezhets waiting to get him. Futon pings for me, but those Skrezhets, they're really good, kind of cheap, clutch anti-air. Oh, we almost got that Hornet. So at this point, it's kind of a stalemate. They have Echo pretty well secured now. I think we actually could have pushed our advantage a little earlier, but didn't. But that's okay. You never really know. You always think, oh, there's let me just show. You always think, oh, there's so much stuff there, and I could never push there. But then you watch the replay and you say, oh, all he really had was 2 tanks. But that's okay to play conservatively too, because I think we're in a little bit of a stronger position, even though just because we hold this town here. So right now, Potato and I are building up for a big attack. I want to just look at this smoke. We really, Potato has 4 Vasiliks, and I think I have a Vasilik helping as well. We BM-24 this whole area. Smoke. Kiyomaru's again pretty careless. Gets ATGM'd against all hope. ATGMs were supposed to be broken still. Ajim says he left the game, actually disconnected. There's been kind of intermittent disconnection since the patch. I want to point this out. Right now, the Blue has 4 Kiyomarus and 2 Leclercs here in the middle. Because of this smoke, they really can't see much. You saw what we had a second ago, but now they're just blinded. They don't have recon up here. They don't have a recon chopper up here, which is really what they should have had. And I think a real tactical error is made here in that they don't kind of fall back or do anything. They just wait. So if you look from our perspective now, we're advancing with infantry on foot into the smoke. We have our tanks lined up here really well in cover. Kiyomaru killed. Infantry going into the smoke. Boom, they just run right into a VDV wall of Vampires. 1 Kiyomaru dead. I think that one dies. A second later, some Leclercs. I mean, this is a terrible... It's really a grave error sending those Leclercs out. Gun tank visible. VDV going into the forest. They're going to kill that. Here comes a bomber. Probably ATGMs. Yeah. So our attack does kind of peter out a little bit because we lose all our infantry. We only really have 1 AA. But I can't emphasize this enough. Remember, they had 4 Kiyomarus and 2 Leclercs when when we started our attack, and now there's only 1 Kiyomaru, and we haven't lost a single heavy tank. That was really the turning point in Foxtrot. But that said, we can't push up. We don't know what's in. Obviously, we are looking. We see, oh, it's just ATGMs there. There's a Kiyomaru there, but we don't. We have okay air cover. We don't have any infantry. I think we probably could have pushed, but we just don't know. So what we did was we said, well, I think we did really good there, but let's cut our losses. And you see our tanks kind of starting to withdraw. So really, it was a raid, is what we pulled off there. Some of our tanks, my T90 is pretty damaged. I think we lost a T80B and a regular T80, and that's all we lost in that confrontation. But we just don't have any infantry to hold the ground. So you're bringing a CV up. You want to bring infantry up. I think there's probably some coming up the road. So yeah, there we go. So that was just a good little raid. Let me see. Speed it up a little bit. So now a lot of the enemy's resources are being pulled into plugging this gap. There's only 1 person over here, so I think around this time we ask Futon, who by the way is just one person now, because remember Ajim dropped. We kind of ask him to start preparing for an attack, and he'll do that in a little bit. So now we've kind of rearmed our tanks. See, we're going back in. Got a little bit better. We got 2 Tunguskas, though we lose 1 to a Prowler, a little stupidly. I don't remember if that was mine or Potatoes, but you should always have the Tunguska guns off unless you're firing at something and you know a seed's not in the air. So again, we reoccupy this tree line, find some kind of weaker medium tanks which aren't very well armored, so we pick them off pretty well. Thank you to Futon for napalm launchering this. Here's Potatoes Uragon, which is actually, I mean, it's pretty good. It stuns stuff, it kills stuff pretty well. So now we're kind of starting to make progress. We withdrew before, but now we're a little stronger. We have our infantry back. We have a just got our CV artillery. A little bit of a setback there, but we're doing a little better now, and that's just, I guess, a point. We could have kept pushing 3 minutes ago, but we didn't. We withdrew and reconsolidated. I think we're stronger for it here. Futon's building up. Fortunately for Lord Quad here, the U.S. Marine player, there's just too many points against him. All they can really do is hold his zone right now, and we can see he's starting to deploy M1HCs to the middle, so I think Blue 4 kind of said, well, Echo and Hotel are static, Delta and Gulf are static, so we'll just focus on the middle. And I believe we actually told Futon, hey, there's M1A1H1s here in the middle from the guy in front of you, so he must be weak, he must be redeploying there. I also want to say, this place here, Delta, look how weak it is. This is kind of a screw up on my part. I really should have reconned here more. Anytime I sent something up into these mountains, they died though, so I kind of just bought into the help potato in the middle, and it works out for us, but it's just, had I pushed here, I think that could have really changed the game a lot sooner. But again, that's why you watch replays. We are having a little trouble here. I think if I speed it up, they're pretty much just bombarding us now. They're looking for CVs, they're napalming the forest. Pings everywhere, wow. So technically we have Foxtrot secured, but we're not very solid on it yet. We really have to look at that. They're deploying all kinds of QMRs and stuff. 3 203mm or 4 203mm guns shooting into our forest. Our A is just not adequate right now either. You see me bringing up books because we're just getting bombed to hell. I think all 4 of their players now are deploying stuff to the middle, which is why, even though we've been making these advances, they keep, I mean, there's just so much stuff here that they keep spawning in. All we really have is our line of heavy tanks because our infantry and our AA keeps getting massacred. So what we need is oh, here we go. Really quick, here's Futon making defense markers, and Potato and I oblige with our Vasilix. What we do is he asked for a wall of smoke to cut the sector in half. Artillery bombardment. Look at this. This is beautiful smoke. Now, there's not really too much to protect it against, or that it's protecting from, but we don't know that, see? Anyways, Futon begins his push. It's just really shock and awe with all that artillery, all that smoke. But the Blue 4 responds pretty quickly by diverting forces from the middle. Harriers, tanks, look, the M1A1s are coming, the Leclercs, the Kiumarus. And this is kind of an emergency for them because they know as soon as we neutralize Echo and contest it, they're going to be behind on the points income. And they just can't allow that. So they're really kind of throwing a last offensive here, I think. They're pushing into Foxtrot while we're back a little further. And this is okay, by the way, that we're not defending this tree line here. It's almost better to defend further back from where your enemy thinks you'll be, because then all his artillery and stuff won't be as effective, and you can then counter push. It's kind of a ATGM Jeep charge. I don't know what that's all about, but this was Futon's problems. He didn't have his own organic mortar capability, so we were having to mortar for him. The smoke's kind of running out. And since we're fighting over here, we can only intermittently remember to, oh wait, yeah, we got smoke for Futon. Now we do have a player that left, so we have a increased availability, but Potato has 9 Vasiliks there. That's quite a bit. He's going to artillery the chaperone. Look at that. Boom. I think masked mortars are a little too powerful right now, personally, but we do have more than we should have, I guess, because we have more income and more availability. So, at this point, I think we've just now got our AAs ready to go. We built up a lot of tanks. I know in just a minute here we're going to do one last push. See, bomb, Foxtrot. There we go, smoke starting. Again, we put this huge wall of smoke up and just, it really I can't emphasize how much smoke is important. It really breaks up the enemy. I mean, as we advance, we're actually not very well dispersed here, but it's just, look at this. This is, I think, 13 heavy tanks, and this is because we've lost virtually none compared to the enemy. Certainly we've lost a bunch of Q, Maros, and Leclercs. We occupy the bushes here pretty quickly. And again, I don't know, they keep advancing out of the smoke, and look at how piecemeal we just kill them. They shoot them one by one as they come out of the smoke. It's really debilitating. But again, we lost our Tunguskas because we're idiots and I guess didn't have the radar off, or they just got nuked. So this just 2 Panthers and a Seahawk makes us go, oh crap, we better retreat. I get friendly fired here by Potato's Su-24s, unfortunately. I actually lost a T-90 to that. So again, we have to retreat. Didn't have enough AA. It's kind of a broken record, but just kind of shows you how important AA is. But oh, we're ready to go again. We have one more Tunguska. Switch it back to everybody's view. Futon's doing a big preparatory bombardment again. At this point, so many resources have shifted from Echo to the middle and then back to Echo, and we've really, just by alternating those attacks, I think we've kept them off balance so much and made them redeploy, and it's just been really hard for them. There's nothing in Echo right now, and they're hurrying to get more stuff, and there's progressively very little in Foxtrot too. They're relying on planes. Their heavy tanks are, yeah, pretty much dying. I mean, at this point, I think quads out of Abrams, all they can bring out is M60 Eras, which aren't all that great. I think at this point the game's pretty much over. We got a +1, but we have Foxtrot really well secured. Futon's in Echo. He's doesn't look like they'll be able to push him back. He's just bombing them. They got no AA. It's kind of, at this point, it's a collapse. I think pretty soon they'll start to say GG, and it was a good game, I have to say. I do kind of rag on the quad squad for saying that, oh, they lost these tanks, but just I don't know. I think we were able to preserve our heavy tanks so well compared to them that it was just such an advantage, and we really relied on our T-80Us and our T-80UMs. Actually, yeah, I need to point this out too. The Blue 4, they only have 2 FOBs. They have one there and one there, and you see both are at about 30% supplies. Whereas by comparison, our FOBs, we have 1 in Kilo and 2 in Juliet, which were drained quite a while ago, 5 or 10 minutes ago. All our supply trucks and helicopters, so it just goes to show logistically how important that was to really fill in with supplies and just maintain everything we had for as much as we could, versus losing our heavy tanks or being reckless. And I think one thing we really were was cautious. Every time we kind of encountered difficulties, we'd pull back and regroup, but each time we took a little bite and a little bite, and I think over time it just wore them down between having to reinforce their their destroyed units or just shifting resources between Echo and Foxtrot. Anyways, I think that's pretty much the end of the game. We secured both of the zones we wanted to, and pretty soon the game finishes. So I just want to get to the kill screen really quick, as soon as times 10 can take us there. Here we go. So just to emphasize what I said, it was a pretty close game, but and it is Conquest, remember, but the Blue 4 took almost double, 1 to 2 kills to losses, and really we just didn't lose much. Preservation is important. Anyways, it was a pretty good game. Thanks to Quad Squad for playing. Thanks to the viewers. Thanks to the viewers for watching. Sorry, I still trying to figure out how I need to sign off. But anyways, please comment, like, subscribe, and hopefully I'll be able to provide more videos in the future. I think this is Raven signing off.